game music. It's the melodic element designed to captivate our emotions and immerse us in the world of the game. The way it harmonizes with the visuals helps to deliver a truly memorable experience. Sometimes, these songs are reborn in brilliant new form. Welcome to Melodies of Gaming, a musical series that explores reimagined songs and official game titles and how they capture the essence of the action. In this episode that celebrates the first anniversary of Animal Crossing New Horizons, we will examine more music added in the recent updates and how the reprised themes have changed from the originals of their respective games. I'm Matthew Kierkegaard, but you may know me as Peach Toadstool.
Joey Ferris here. Hey everyone.
And I'm Chris Carpenter. Hey everyone.
For today, we have the great pleasure of introducing Jay Andromeda, a talented singer and lyricist who created numerous covers of KK Slider songs and more.
Hi everyone.
Our musical adventure continues our exploration of the game's music that we initiated in Episode 3. You can check the Melodies of Gaming playlist for a previous coverage. Now, let's begin this melodious journey.
It's wild that it's been a whole year since Animal Crossing New Horizons entered our lives. 2020 definitely brought its challenges, but the latest game provided a welcome escape as so many fans anticipated. It's been that way for me ever since Wild World, my first game in the series. Back then, playing Animal Crossing on the Nintendo DS was a great way for me to take breaks from late nights working on Project for Art School. As the years went by, the game continued to provide a comforting respite well into my adulthood. When New Leaf released, it really reignited my love for Animal Crossing. I often spent my days off designing my town and interacting with villagers. The game's hourly music included some of my favorites in the series. And of course, there was Isabelle, who I cosplayed at anime conventions in the US and Japan. The wide variety of KK Slider songs written by Kazumi Totaka helped inspire me to begin a fan arrangement project based on those compositions. From this opportunity, I was able to combine my singing, songwriting, and cosplaying skills to create a collection of music video covers of songs from KK Slider. When I heard about the announcement of New Horizons, I could hardly wait to immerse myself in that world again. Building my island has been a great break from the chaos in life this past year. While I do miss some elements from New Leaf, I've really enjoyed the new additions, such as crafting and landscaping. And it's no surprise that the soundtrack has some really great pieces too. With the renewed popularity of the franchise, I'm hoping to collaborate with new musicians to create more Animal Crossing covers in the future.
When first covering Animal Crossing New Horizons and its music, we celebrated the beginning of our new island lives, as well as Bunny Day, the wedding season event, and the Fireworks Festival. 2 more seasons full of holiday events have come and gone since then. We had a ghoulishly good time on Halloween in October, Turkey Day in November presented us with quite a delectable feast, and Toy Day brought us all together in December. 2020 ended with the New Year's Eve countdown and provided a fresh start with friends and family for 2021. We've had some interesting updates this year, such as the various smaller holiday tributes with items found in Nook Stop. And recently, we danced to the beat in Festival in February. The arrival of items from the Super Mario series came just in time for Mario Day, and the Sanrio sets featuring the Hello Kitty franchise and more were carried over from New Leaf. At long last, the seasonal cycle begins anew with the 1-year anniversary of New Horizons. All 4 major holidays we recently enjoyed featured new music that we remember from past Animal Crossing titles. Let's start strong with the most recent one, and first on the Gregorian calendar, Festival. Festivale? We'll go with Festival for now.
Festival is a celebration filled with confetti and a rhythm to shake it like there's no tomorrow. It is hosted by Pave, a peacock with a passion for samba dancing. Called Carnival in Japan and other regions, Festival is an event based on Carnaval do Brasil, or Brazilian Carnival, most famous in Rio de Janeiro for its grand parade filled with extravagant floats and dancers. It takes place during the same week as in the real world, falling on the day just before Mardi Gras, the version of Carnival held in New Orleans, known for flashy masquerade masks. The first time we experienced Festival was in City Folk.
During Festival for the Wii title, Pave had a stage in front of the town hall, insisting that we move to the rhythm while referring to himself in the third person. But when the dancing peacock noticed that we wouldn't get into the groove, he instead requested candy of a specific color. We were able to obtain these confections from villagers by winning simple games like rock, paper, scissors twice in a row. Upon giving 3 of the same color of candy to Pave, he showed off his dancing and rhyming skills and rewarded us with an item from his very own Pave series.
The music was based on the Brazilian samba, including brass, acoustic guitar, and flute, as well as the accordion known throughout the City Folk soundtrack. What was interesting here was the use of Latin percussion, such as the Brazilian bass drum, called the surdo, shakers, and the occasional squeaky cuica that sounded like a monkey. When approaching Pave, more Latin percussion faded in to be layered atop the track, like the timbales and samba whistles. The music definitely got us in the dancing festival spirit.
In New Leaf, feathers of different colors floated in the air, including the elusive rainbow feather. This time around, Pave wanted us to retrieve these instead of candy. We could either catch the free-floating feathers or play games with villagers to win them. By bringing 3 of the requested color or just 1 coveted rainbow feather to Pave, he would perform a dance and offer an item from the Pave series. Providing a rainbow feather also granted him extra motivation for a special extended dance. How wild! The music remained virtually the same as the version from City Folk, but the environmental reverb that was used for most New Leaf tracks gave this one a richer, more spacious sound. Approaching Pave would cue the additional percussion, but it was different than before, playing congas and samba whistles. In addition, Pave's dance finale was added to include a brass fanfare. Neat.
In New Horizons, Festival was handled similarly to New Leaf, but with a few changes made here and there. During the month of February, we were able to buy various Festival items in Nook's Cranny and outfits for the occasion in the Able Sisters. Upon meeting Pave, we witnessed his dance and learned the ability to craft rainbow feathers from the 4 other colors as another way to obtain them. We could even trade the feathers we caught with Islanders for colors that we needed. Once again, giving 3 of the requested color netted us sweet rewards. But rather than items from the classic Pave series, new Festival items were given to be more reflective of the carnival-inspired event. For the 10th exchange, which required 3 rainbow feathers, Pave bestowed upon us the exclusive Festival float made in his likeness.
The latest musical arrangement for Festival is presented as a jazz samba. It's much like bossa nova, but feels more true to its samba origins. It includes simple percussion with shakers and surdo, acoustic guitar, vibraphone, trumpet, and steel drums. The B section after the bridge includes a sweet reference to the New Horizons theme, Welcome Horizons. Overall, the remix has a nice tropical feeling that is relaxed and suited for the island setting. This all ramps up when near Pave and his vigorous dancing. The overlay is very similar in composition to the version from New Leaf, but adds the surdo and changes up some of the other percussion. Finally, there's Pave's dance finale, which plays after giving 3 primary color feathers or a single rainbow feather, as well as the ultimate super rainbow finale, when giving 3 rainbow feathers at the dancer's behest. Both of these are pretty true to their New Leaf counterparts, but they're presented in much better quality. Viva Festival!
Halloween, a spooky time filled with candy and scary costumes, is loved by many the world over. Like in the real world, it takes place on the evening of the 31st of October, ruled by Jack, the self-proclaimed czar of Halloween with a major sweet tooth. The pumpkin-headed master of tricks and treats first called himself the King of Halloween, but that brought to mind a different Jack from a classic stop-motion film. The celebration of Halloween in Animal Crossing dates back to Dobutsu no Mori on the Nintendo 64 in Japan, but it remained the same on the GameCube.
In the 2001 title, Mayor Tortimer dressed up as Jack and gave us our first eerie gift, Katrina's tent. Meanwhile, the King of Halloween hid amongst the villagers spread out across town, all of whom were dressed just like him. Everyone tried to chase us down for candy except the real Jack. Upon finding him and surrendering a piece of candy, he gifted us with an item from the Spooky series. When we failed to give candy to Jack or any villager who demanded it, we were tricked with a transformation of our clothing into old gear, or an inventory item into the exclusive Jack in the Box.
The music played on Halloween night was playful and erratic, with a loose structure and mischievous dissonance. It consisted of an unorthodox ensemble of instruments, like accordion, bass flute, and improvised bongos. The composition overall had a good balance of being unnerving and lighthearted, but it left a lot of room for improvement.
City Folk's version of Halloween was much like the original event. Jack once again hid amongst the villagers throughout town, and sometimes would even mix in with them. However, unlike before, some villagers remained indoors, allowing us to scare them to earn candy by wearing certain costumes. The music had better structure, but it included a similar instrumentation, like an organ, accordion, and bongos with maybe a bass conga mixed in. Vibrato was provided to the marimba to create distortion in pitch and add to the mood, while occasional door knocks gave that whole unsettling trick-or-treat touch. This all worked very well for the Night of Fright.
In New Leaf, many of the same principles as in City Folk applied, but Jack would chase after us, just like the villagers. This time, we were able to avoid being tricked by the imposters when not given candy by winning a game. Like before, Jack would offer an item from the Spooky series in exchange for regular candy, but he would also give the option to trade for a mask to scare residents in their homes. Lollipops were Jack's favorite treat, given by the villagers on occasion. He was happy to take one off our hands in exchange for an item from the Creepy series, a set that was obtained as DLC in City Folk. The music used many of the same compositional elements as in the Wii title, but with New Leaf's reverb environment and high contrast panning throughout. A significant change was made to include a third part that combined the melodies of both the A and B sections in a scale 1/2 step up, and then another 1/2 step up after that. The arrangement even was enhanced with some additional knocking articulations and spooky effects. Well done!
Halloween in New Horizons played out quite similarly to that in New Leaf, except Islanders didn't dress up like Jack. Instead, they wore costumes based on clothing and accessories sold in the Able Sisters during October. We could complete our own costumed look with the new eye colors and body paint provided in the related update. There were also 2 new frightening reactions for the occasion, one of which Jack taught us himself upon greeting him. By giving candy to Jack or even the Islanders, we could receive items from the reimagined Spooky series, most of which were found in Nook's Cranny in October. But only Jack could provide his head and robe, which we could wear to scare up more candy. He also rewarded us for giving him lollipops with exclusive DIY recipes of the Spooky series, requiring pumpkins we could grow in order to craft. Amongst these were great exclusives like the Spooky Wand and Colossal Spooky Carriage.
The arrangement of the music is still mischievous, but it may not be as creepy to some. It instead opts for a more whimsical presentation with its use of accordion, tuba, and admittedly fitting mute trumpet. The percussion here is more natural, flowing in a way that is common with other New Horizons tracks. A welcome addition is a short new part near the end that serves as a bridge back to the beginning. The Jack-in-the-Box style filtering that plays halfway into the remix is a creative and delightfully spooky detail, but we really miss the door knocks.
Originally called the Harvest Festival, Turkey Day is a celebration based on Thanksgiving Day in the United States. It is held every 4th Thursday in November, bringing the residents together to enjoy a feast of friendship. The guest of honor is a turkey named Franklin, a paranoid but talented chef who is likely named after Benjamin Franklin. The holiday first appeared in Animal Crossing for the GameCube.
In this early forest life, the Harvest Festival was held by the town Wishing Well, where Mayor Tortimer and the villagers mingled near several banquet tables. Tortimer offered us a cornucopia, but the real item of interest here was the knife and fork set, which we swiped from the table. As it turned out, the mayor invited Franklin as the chief guest, but he ran off. The anxious turkey could be found hiding behind buildings, trees, and even signs. Upon being discovered, Franklin gave his speech about how terrified he was of what the mayor and the villagers really had planned for him. When the worrywart noticed that we were in possession of dangerous silverware, he promptly confiscated the utensils, giving us an item from the Harvest series in exchange.
The music was heard faintly when in a region near the banquet tables, but it was at maximum volume when at the Wishing Well. The style was inspired by Dixieland, a popular traditional jazz style associated with New Orleans introduced in the early 20th century. Wow, what an influential city! The instrumentation for this piece seemed to include a fiddle, horns, bells, and a lot of random wacky sounds, like people having a grand old time. Towards the end was a rather silly wind down as if the party exhausted everyone. It was an interesting idea for a composition associated with the event based on the United States holiday, but it needed refinement.
Oh no. Not again! Just kidding. The City Folk version of the Harvest Festival certainly brings back memories. Much like on the GameCube, we had to obtain the knife and fork set, this time from Tortimer directly, before setting off to find Franklin. The skittish turkey would give Harvest Series items again when relinquishing the eating utensils. There really wasn't much difference in the procedure. The music played at the same level throughout the entire town this time. Like with other returning holidays in City Folk, the composition had more of a traditional structure. Notable instruments here were the harmonica and whistle leads, as well as the percussive riffs resembling taps from objects you might find around an outdoor picnic. There was no winding down for the end of this arrangement.
Franklin returned in New Leaf for the Harvest Festival, but this time he was prepared to demonstrate his culinary skills as the host chef for the feast. No longer nervous about being eaten, he was determined to prepare a fantastic meal. Franklin needed our help to fetch ingredients to use in 4 delicious dishes, which we could find from fruit trees and fishing, or by trading with villagers. Handing over all of the requested ingredients to the chef netted us an item for the Harvest series, or a fruit basket. And if we included the right special ingredients learned from villagers in all 4 dishes, he would give a cornucopia as thanks. Once again, the music was based on the city folk version, but it had a more expansive feeling with that reverb. We're seeing a pattern. As far as we could tell, no major changes were made. It sounded pretty solid as it was.
In New Horizons, the Harvest Festival was changed to Turkey Day, since it also takes place during the growing season in the Southern Hemisphere rather than the harvest time. It was nearly the same structure as in the 3DS title, except all ingredients could be found by fishing, diving, or harvesting pumpkins. Surprisingly, most of Franklin's dishes consisted of seafood, except the pumpkin pie. But rather than items from the classic Harvest series, Turkey Day decorative items were given as prizes, including a cornucopia. After cooking all the dishes with secret ingredients, Franklin gave a set of Turkey Day DIY recipes, which also appeared in Nook's Cranny the next day.
The music for Turkey Day has a slower tempo compared to the Harvest Day iterations, matching Franklin's rather sleepy look. With the trumpets, trombone, tuba, and mandolin, it's even more like Dixieland style than ever before. For the most part, the percussion is typical for this style of music, but the familiar tapping like spoons hitting each other comes in during an added part with another reference to Welcome Horizons. For eating lots of food with friends on an island, it doesn't hurt to take cues from this more laid-back arrangement and go slow.
Toy Day, the joyous day of giving, is Animal Crossing's version of Christmas. It typically takes place on the 24th of December. It is blessed with a visit from Jingle, the black-nosed reindeer, who comes to town bearing gifts. He is Santa's busy little helper with a magic sack and a charming smile on one side of his face. Toy Day first started in Dobutsu no Mori as Christmas, which the GameCube title reflected perfectly as Christmas Eve.
Back then, actual Toy Day was celebrated on the 23rd, when Mayor Tortimer gave a present. Nothing else of note happened on that day, though. Christmas Eve then took place the following day with a visit from Jingle at night. When we tracked him down, it was clear that he was in a hurry to deliver presents, but it wasn't long before he started asking what kind of items we preferred. After locating him a few times and answering more preference questions, Jingle broke protocol and gifted an item from the Jingle series based on how he responded to his survey. We were able to obtain more items just by changing shirts to make Jingle think we were someone else. I guess that could have put us on the naughty list.
The music that played on Christmas Eve was an appropriate ballad written in such a way that evoked memories of the cozy times with loved ones during the holidays. It was a raw piece, but that was part of the rustic charm. Presented in the key of A-flat, an organ, accordion, mallets, and sleigh bells in the intro set the mood with a lingering A-flat major 7th chord. The melody in the A section hits with a vibraphone lead, which repeats with a reed instrument combined with the vibes. It's fairly well structured here.
After the repeat is an extensive B section with a much looser structure. Various sleigh bell articulations and random percussion here follow that change. The second phrase repeats itself with a tighter structuring before leading into what feels like the section's end, but it subverts expectations and repeats the phrase 2 more times before finally reaching the true transitional cadence. Rather than returning to the beginning of the piece, the composition moves into a mellow C section, which is very similar to a song's coda or tail. The phrasing is reminiscent of church bells, repeating until the reed plays as the final melodic phrase. Finally, a copy of the intro with added percussion serves as a bridge back to the A section. It's a curious piece overall, with unnecessarily lengthy sections and questionable flow, but it's very charming and fitting for an original Christmas Eve composition.
For city folk, Christmas Eve became the official Toy Day holiday when Jingle would make his rounds. For the most part, interactions with Jingle were like the previous iteration, except we could answer all survey questions in one go. And like before, we could change up clothes or accessories for more items from the Jingle series. However, this time, Jingle sometimes would be found in unoccupied villager homes, which we could enter to find the lights off. Much like other city folk examples, this Toy Day arrangement was better structured. It was simpler and shorter with fewer phrase repeats, giving it much better pacing. It made good use of the accordion and other instruments commonly used in the game, along with clarinet and bells. The sleigh bells retained their dynamics, but felt a little more natural. This was a great reimagining.
New Leaf changed the formula a bit. During the month of December, villagers would hint what they would like for Toy Day in advance. On the holiday itself, we encountered Jingle, who needed someone to dress up as Santa to help deliver presents. Finding the necessary articles of clothing in the Able sisters, we donned the iconic outfit. We then were recruited by the Jolly Reindeer and given a Santa bag filled with gifts to hand out to the villagers. After completing the deliveries, we received a festive wreath from Jingle. If we did our job perfectly, Jingle would show his gratitude for the assistance by sending his photo the next day to our mail. The most basic enhancements were made to the music. It's surprising just how much these tracks were nearly the same as in City Folk, only with a more spacious sound and slight modifications made to the instruments. But this really was a charming rendition of the source overall.
Toy Day in New Horizons is based loosely on the events in New Leaf. While we optionally could dress up as Santa, it wasn't necessary in order to help deliver presents. Upon talking to Jingle, he informed us that he forgot to prepare wrapping paper. So the reindeer gave us a DIY recipe and requested us to make 3 rolls of festive wrapping paper. He rewarded our efforts with Toy Day stockings to hang at home in order to find Jingle's photo stuffed inside the next day. Jingle then lent us a magic bag like in New Leaf to deliver gifts. We wouldn't go wrong this time, since the bag produced just the right gift for each recipient. Once every islander was given a present, we returned to Jingle to receive a Toy Day sleigh decorated with presents.
The music for Toy Day in New Horizons is an orchestrated arrangement, most like the version from New Leaf in structure. It's like something you may hear from an album of instrumental Christmas carols. For the first time, 2 variations were created for the holiday, one for winter in the northern hemisphere, and one for summer in the southern hemisphere. The only difference between them is the percussion, but that small change really helps to provide the right atmosphere.
Sleigh bells have been in the Toy Day music in all past Animal Crossing games, but they are not present for the Southern Hemisphere version in New Horizons. Instead, percussion consisting of a kick, snare, and shakers reflect the warmer weather. The structure changes a little for each section, separated by moments of rest for a more dynamic feeling. This works really well as a summery alternative.
In contrast, the Northern Hemisphere version indeed has the sleigh bells that we know and love, playing on every 8th beat as the sole percussive instrument. Their inclusion helps paint the classic wintry scene that Toy Day has portrayed since the very start of the series. Just like the source, the composition begins in A-flat, going with a minimalistic approach with only electric piano and sleigh bells for most of the intro. With the start of the A section, the mallet melody is upheld by broken guitar triads that run up and down the scale repeatedly, playing major 7th chords in beautiful jazz ballad fashion. A soft trumpet joins the mallet for the melody, with mellow horn backing, creating rich polyphony, that is, multiple notes simultaneously. This section ends after the accordion with a half cadence of E-flat ninth suspended 4th.
A similar repeating chord progression dominates the B section, as a higher-pitched melody chimes in. But a gorgeous deviation from the rising and falling chords begins with E diminished 7th and F minor 7th, leading into E flat variations playing with suspended notes to end the section. The C section starts with the swelling of delicate brass playing the aforementioned church bells run, providing a meditative ambiance. Finally, one last melodic phrase with an accordion lead sets the composition up to return to the very beginning. Overall, the arrangement's crisp and luxurious sound works so well as a comforting piece that could be enjoyed on repeat to keep us in the holiday spirit for this special time of year.
And with that, we've come to the end of this melodious journey. This has been quite a celebration for the first anniversary of Animal Crossing New Horizons. The new music alone, presented over the months, impressed us with great arrangements of the holiday themes. We'd love to hear even more remixes of the beloved classics in future updates. Many thanks go to Jay Andromeda for collaborating with us and helping with the reprise heard at the end of this video. Check the description to see how you can follow and support them. May we all have even greater adventures in this new year of Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
That's all for this episode of Melodies of Gaming. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this musical analysis, consider giving it a like and let us know which reimagined game music you would like us to examine in the comments below, and we may feature it in a future episode. Please be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell if you haven't yet. And of course, stay tuned to Game Explain for more Melodies of Gaming and other things gaming too. Until next time, ciao.